Let's be honest, is there anything more frustrating than a phone that is slowed to an absolute crawl? You know when you just want to throw it against a wall? Well, if that's you, you are in the right place. We are going to walk through a complete digital triage guide to bring that slow phone right back to life. Oh, we have all been there. That little spinning wheel of death, an app that takes an eternity to open, a keyboard that just cannot keep up with your thumbs. It is absolutely maddening. But don't worry, the fix is usually way simpler than you think. We're going to tackle this like first responders, starting with the immediate fixes and then moving to long-term health. Okay, first up, the quick wins. These are the simple, immediate things you can do right now to get an instant burst of speed. Think of this as like first aid for your phone's performance. And here is the single most effective thing you can do, and it only takes about 20 seconds. It's a simple system reboot. I know, it sounds way too easy, but there is a very, very good reason this is the first thing tech support always tells you to do. And the process could not be simpler. Power your phone completely down. And I don't mean just locking the screen. I mean hold that power button and shut it all the way off. Then, and this part's important, just let it sit for about 10 seconds. Let it fully rest before you turn it back on. So why does this one little trick work so well? Well, your phone uses something called RAM as its short-term memory, kind of like a workspace or a desk. As you use apps all day, that desk gets cluttered with leftover files and tiny glitches. A reboot is like wiping that entire desk clean. It clears out all that junk and gives your phone a fresh, empty space to work in. Okay, so besides a reboot, there are two other things you can check immediately. First, swipe away all of your open apps. Even when they're just sitting in the background, they can be sipping away at your phone's processing power. Second, and this is a big one, check your internet. Sometimes the problem isn't your phone at all. Here's a really quick way you can play detective with your connection. If websites are loading super slowly on your Wi-Fi, just try switching over to your mobile data. If things suddenly speed up, boom! You know the problem is your Wi-Fi network, not your phone. And of course, the reverse is true too. A weak cell signal can make your phone feel sluggish, so hopping on a stable Wi-Fi network can be an instant fix. All right, so first aid is great in an emergency, but for performance that actually lasts, we need to think more like a personal trainer for your phone. So let's talk about long-term fitness and the habits that create real sustainable speed. Okay, I want you to burn this number into your brain. 10%. If your phone's storage drops below 10% free space, its performance absolutely craters. Your phone needs that breathing room to work properly, and when it's totally full, everything just grinds to a halt. This is probably the #1 cause of a chronically slow phone. So, how do we get that precious space back? First, you gotta be ruthless. Go through your apps, and if you haven't opened it in the last month, just delete it. For you Android users, clearing the cache on big apps like your web browser can free up a shocking amount of space. And finally, the biggest culprits, your photos and videos. Move them to a cloud service like Google Photos or iCloud, and then, this is the important part, delete them from your device. Now, our phone's fitness plan isn't just about what we take out. It's also about keeping its core systems in absolute top shape. And that means paying attention to its software. I know, it's so tempting to hit remind me later, but please do not ignore those update notifications. Updates to your operating system, whether it's iOS or Android, often have critical performance improvements baked right in. And the same thing goes for your apps. Developers are always fixing bugs and patching memory leaks that cause slowdowns, so keeping everything updated is just key. All right, we've cleared out the clutter, we've updated the core systems. Now it's time for some fine-tuning. We're going to dive into your phone's settings and make a few small tweaks that can add up to a really big difference in performance. Here are 3 really easy wins. First, turn off features like Bluetooth and location services when you're not actually using them. Second, reduce the visual effects. You know those flashy animations? They look nice, but they make your phone's processor work a lot harder. Turning them down can make your phone feel instantly snappier. And finally, for those massive apps like Facebook, see if there's a light version available. They use way fewer resources. Okay, for our final check, and this is a huge one, especially if your phone is a couple of years old, we need to look at the health of your battery, which can be the secret, hidden root cause of a slowdown. This is such a critical concept, and it's one a lot of people don't know about. As a battery gets older, it just can't always provide enough power for the processor to run at full speed. So to prevent your phone from just randomly shutting down, the operating system will intentionally slow it down. They call it throttling the processor. Your phone isn't slow because it's broken. It's slow because it's protecting itself from an old battery. So how do you actually check this? Well, on an iPhone, it's really easy. You just go into your settings, then battery health, and look for that maximum capacity percentage. For my Android folks, it can be a little trickier, and you might need a third-party app like AccuBattery to get a good health report. But if that percentage is low, well, you've probably found your culprit. So if your battery health is poor, you have two pretty powerful options. Getting the battery replaced can honestly feel like you've just gotten a whole new phone. And then, as an absolute last resort for those really stubborn problems, a factory reset will wipe the phone clean and return it to its original state. But, and I cannot stress this enough, make absolutely sure you back up all your data first. So we end with this question because it really gets to the heart of the matter for most people. Is your phone actually slow, or is it just full? More often than not, our phones aren't failing us. We're just asking them to run a marathon while carrying a backpack full of rocks. By cleaning up that storage, updating your software, and checking in on that battery, you can give your phone the breathing room it desperately needs to run at its best. I hope this helps you